Ever wondered what happens when greatness is suddenly cut short? Have you thought about the legacies left behind when athletes leave us too soon? Number 9. Len Bias. Did you know that some NBA superstars never get to play a single professional game? Len Bias was poised to become one of basketball's greatest players when tragedy struck in June 1986. Just 2 days after being selected as the second overall pick by the Boston Celtics in the NBA draft, the 22-year-old University of Maryland star died from cardiac arrhythmia induced by a cocaine overdose. Bias was no ordinary college player. Standing 6 feet 8 inches with explosive athleticism and a smooth shooting touch, he had drawn comparisons to Michael Jordan. Celtics fans were ecstatic about the selection, with legendary Celtics executive Red Auerbach believing he had secured the franchise's future. Bias had just signed a $1,600,000 contract with sportswear company Reebok and was celebrated across campus after returning from the draft. But in the early morning hours of June 19th, while celebrating with friends in his dorm room, Bias collapsed and never regained consciousness. His death sent shockwaves through the sports world and beyond. It prompted national discussions about drug use, led to stricter anti-drug legislation, and forever changed how we think about athlete mortality. The what could have been questions haunt basketball historians to this day. Many experts believe Bias would have been a perennial all-star, possibly altering the NBA landscape of the late 1980s and early 1990s. His death remains one of sport's most tragic what-if stories, a reminder of how quickly promise can turn to heartbreak. Number 8. Roberto Clemente. Can a humanitarian mission end in disaster? Roberto Clemente, the Pittsburgh Pirates right fielder and one of baseball's most complete players, died at age 38 on December 31, 1972, when his plane crashed while delivering aid to earthquake victims in Nicaragua. The Puerto Rican superstar had just completed his 18th season and reached the milestone of 3,000 hits, a mark of baseball excellence. Clemente wasn't just a statistical marvel, he was poetry in motion on the field. His rocket arm from right field became legendary, as were his batting skills that earned him 4 batting titles, 12 Gold Glove awards, and the 1966 National League MVP award. When a devastating earthquake hit Nicaragua in December 1972, Clemente organized relief flights. After learning that corrupt officials had diverted previous aid shipments, he decided to accompany the next flight personally. The overloaded plane crashed into the Atlantic Ocean shortly after takeoff from San Juan, and Clemente's body was never recovered. Baseball mourned deeply, waiving the traditional 5-year waiting period to induct him into the Hall of Fame the following year. His humanitarian spirit lives on through the Roberto Clemente Award, given annually to the MLB player who best exemplifies his commitment to community service. The phrase, "he played the game as if it were a form of worship," appears on his monument at PNC Park in Pittsburgh, capturing how he approached both baseball and life with passion, dignity, and excellence cut short too soon. Number 7. Payne Stewart. Have you ever thought about how quickly life can change, even among the clouds? Payne Stewart, recognizable worldwide for his vintage +4s knickers and Tam O'Shanter caps, died in a bizarre aviation accident on October 25, 1999, at age 42. Just months after winning his second U.S. Open and only weeks after helping the United States win the Ryder Cup, Stewart boarded a Learjet in Orlando headed for Dallas. Shortly after takeoff, the cabin lost pressure, incapacitating everyone on board. The ghost plane continued on autopilot for 4 hours before running out of fuel and crashing in South Dakota. All 6 people aboard died. Stewart had finally reached his peak after years of ups and downs in his career. His dramatic putt to win the 1999 U.S. Open at Pinehurst, where he defeated Phil Mickelson by a single stroke, remains one of golf's most iconic moments. The image of Stewart fist-pumped in celebration wearing his navy blue +4s is etched in golf history. What made Stewart's death particularly poignant was his personal transformation. Once known for his sometimes prickly personality, Stewart had embraced Christianity and become known for his sportsmanship and character. He left behind a wife and 2 children, and the PGA Tour established the Payne Stewart Award to honor players who uphold the traditions of respect for the game. The statue of Stewart at Pinehurst No. 2, frozen in his victory pose with one arm extended, serves as a permanent reminder of a champion taken at the height of his powers and personal growth. Number 6. Florence Griffith Joyner. Can someone be too fast for this world? Florence Griffith Joyner, known to fans worldwide as Flo Jo, remains the fastest woman who ever lived, a glamorous sprinter whose world records in the 100 meters and 200 meters still stand more than 3 decades after she set them. At the 1988 Seoul Olympics, Griffith Joyner became a global sensation, winning 3 gold medals while sporting her signature long, colorful fingernails and flashy racing outfits. Her world record of 10.49 seconds in the 100 meters, set during the Olympic trials, was so ahead of its time that no woman has come within a tenth of a second of it since. Then, just as suddenly as she had risen to fame, Flo Jo retired in 1989 at the peak of her abilities, turning her attention to designing, writing, and family life. On September 21, 1998, at just 38 years old, she died in her sleep when she suffocated during an epileptic seizure. Her death sparked conversations about epilepsy awareness, while also fueling unproven speculation about performance-enhancing drugs, allegations she had always denied and which were never proven by any failed drug test. The medical examiner confirmed her death was due to epilepsy, a condition she had been diagnosed with years earlier. Griffith Joyner's legacy extends beyond her records. She broke barriers as both an athlete and fashion icon, proving women could be feminine and formidably athletic at the same time. Her daughter, Mary Ruth, was just 7 years old when she lost her mother. Today, Flo Jo remains the standard by which female sprinters measure themselves, her time standing as seemingly unreachable targets in the sports record books. Number 5. Drazen Petrovic. How much can a car accident change basketball history? Drazen Petrovic, a pioneering European star in the NBA and one of the greatest shooters of his generation, died on June 7, 1993, when a truck collided with his car on a rain-soaked German autobahn. He was just 28 years old. At the time of his death, Petrovic had finally established himself as a premier NBA guard with the New Jersey Nets, averaging 22.3 points per game while shooting an extraordinary 52% from the field and 45% from three-point range in his final season. Basketball experts believe he was just beginning to reach his full potential in the NBA after years of dominance in European basketball. The Croatian guard wasn't just a scoring machine, he was a basketball revolutionary. Along with a small group of European players like Vlade Divac and Toni Kukoc, Petrovic helped prove that international players could not only survive but thrive in the NBA. His deadly jump shot and fierce competitive nature earned respect from NBA legends like Michael Jordan and Reggie Miller. Petrovic's death came during a complex period in his native Balkans history. The Yugoslav Civil War had torn apart his homeland, and he had become a symbol of Croatian independence and pride. His funeral in Zagreb drew thousands of mourners, and a documentary titled Once Brothers later chronicled his relationship with Serbian teammate Divac amid their country's conflict. Posthumously inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame in 2002, Petrovic's legacy lives on in the wave of European players who now populate the NBA. Many modern European stars like Luka Doncic cite him as an inspiration and trailblazer who showed them the NBA dream was possible. His number 3 jersey has been retired by both the Nets and his European club teams, a testament to a global basketball icon whose best days were tragically ahead of him. Number 4. Ayrton Senna. Can one crash change an entire sport forever? Ayrton Senna, widely regarded as one of Formula One's greatest drivers ever, died on May 1, 1994, when his car slammed into a concrete barrier at the San Marino Grand Prix in Imola, Italy. He was 34 years old and at the height of his powers as a 3-time world champion. The Brazilian driver possessed almost supernatural abilities behind the wheel, especially in wet conditions where his car control became the stuff of legend. His death came during a horrific weekend that had already seen another driver, Roland Ratzenberger, die during qualifying, and yet another, Rubens Barrichello, survive a serious crash during practice. Senna's fatal accident occurred while he was leading the race. His Williams car left the track at the Tamburello corner, a high-speed section where drivers reached speeds of around 190 mph. The cause was later determined to be a broken steering column. When rescue workers reached Senna in the crumpled car, they found an Austrian flag he had planned to wave after the race in honor of Ratzenberger. His death was broadcast live to a global television audience and left his native Brazil in such shock that the government declared 3 days of national mourning. An estimated 3 million people lined the streets of São Paulo for his funeral procession, one of the largest in modern history. Senna's passing fundamentally transformed Formula One safety. The sport implemented numerous changes to car design, track layouts, and safety equipment that have saved countless lives since. His charitable foundation, which he had quietly established while alive, continues to educate millions of underprivileged Brazilian children. Beyond his 41 race wins and 3 championships, Senna is remembered for his philosophical approach to racing and life. "Racing, competing, it's in my blood," he once said. "It's part of me, it's part of my life, I've been doing it all my life, and it stands for me." His intense rivalry with Alain Prost and his almost mystical connection to racing have been documented in books and films, including the award-winning documentary, Senna. Number 3. Thurman Munson. Can one routine flight practice end a baseball career? Thurman Munson, the gritty captain of the New York Yankees and the heart of their late 1970s championship teams, died on August 2, 1979, when the private plane he was piloting crashed near the Canton-Akron Airport in Ohio. He was 32 years old. Munson had taken up flying as a hobby so he could spend more time with his family in Canton, often flying home on off days. On that fateful day, he was practicing touch-and-go landings with a friend and flight instructor when his Cessna Citation jet clipped a tree and crashed short of the runway. His 2 passengers survived, but Munson, trapped in the cockpit, died of asphyxiation from the resulting fire. The mustached catcher wasn't just any Yankee. He was their first captain since Lou Gehrig, a 7-time All-Star, the 1976 American League MVP, and a cornerstone of World Series championships in 1977 and 1978. Tough, durable, and known for his clutch hitting, Munson batted .292 over his 11-year career while handling some of baseball's best pitching staffs. His death devastated the Yankees and their fans. The team flew to Canton for his funeral, then returned to play that night against the Baltimore Orioles. In an unforgettable scene, Yankees players sobbed openly in the dugout. His locker at Yankee Stadium remained untouched for years, and the Yankees retired his number 15. Munson embodied the gritty, resilient spirit of New York in the challenging 1970s. His bitter rivalry and eventual friendship with Boston's Carlton Fisk defined the Yankees' Red Sox battles of that era. Though his career statistics might not match other Hall of Fame catchers, many believe his leadership and impact on winning should have earned him Cooperstown recognition. The crash raised questions about athletes pursuing dangerous hobbies, but it also highlighted Munson's deep commitment to family, the very reason he learned to fly. His story remains one of baseball's most poignant tragedies, a reminder of how quickly a champion can be taken away. Number 2. Dale Earnhardt. What happens when a sport loses its biggest star on its biggest day? Dale Earnhardt Sr., NASCAR's intimidating man in black, died on February 18, 2001, during the final lap of the Daytona 500, the Super Bowl of stock car racing. He was 49 years old. The crash itself seemed relatively routine by NASCAR standards. Earnhardt's famous black number 3 Chevrolet made contact with Sterling Marlin's car, slid up the banking, and hit the outside wall at around 160 mph. But the angle of impact caused a basilar skull fracture that proved immediately fatal, even as fans initially expected the Intimidator to climb out and wave to the crowd as he had done countless times before. Earnhardt wasn't just another driver, he was NASCAR personified. His 7 championships tied Richard Petty's all-time record. His aggressive driving style, which earned him the nickname the Intimidator, his trademark mustache, and his sunglasses made him instantly recognizable far beyond racing circles. He had transformed from a blue-collar hero to a businessman worth hundreds of millions through racing and merchandising. The tragic irony was that Earnhardt died while essentially protecting the lead for Dale Earnhardt Inc., drivers Michael Waltrip and his son, Dale Earnhardt Jr., who finished first and second in the race. Most viewers didn't know of Earnhardt's death until well after the checkered flag, creating a surreal scene where celebration and tragedy collided. His death prompted NASCAR's most significant safety revolution. The hands, head, and neck support device became mandatory, as did improved barriers and safer car designs. Many believe these changes have saved numerous lives since. Winston-Salem Journal reporter Ed Hardin perhaps summed it up best. He drove by the seat of his pants, on the edge, often over the edge. He drove with a fury that defined the sport. That fierce commitment to his racing style ultimately cost Earnhardt his life, but it had also made him the sport's greatest star. Number 1. Kobe Bryant. Can a foggy Sunday morning change basketball forever? Kobe Bryant, one of basketball's most iconic figures, died on January 26, 2020, when the helicopter carrying him, his 13-year-old daughter Gianna, and 7 others crashed into a hillside in Calabasas, California. He was just 41 years old, less than 4 years removed from his illustrious 20-year NBA career. The news seemed impossible to believe. Kobe Bryant, the Black Mamba, the 5-time NBA champion, the 18-time All-Star, the 4th leading scorer in NBA history, couldn't be gone. But as confirmation came, the sports world and beyond stood still. NBA teams took 24-second shot clock violations and 8-second backcourt violations in their games that day to honor Bryant's jersey numbers. Fans created impromptu memorials outside the Staples Center in Los Angeles. Even the Grammy Awards held that night in Bryant's home arena transformed into a partial tribute. Bryant's death hit particularly hard because of his post-career renaissance. After retiring from the Lakers in 2016, scoring 60 points in his final game, he had won an Academy Award for his animated short film Dear Basketball, written children's books, and most importantly, had devoted himself to family life and coaching his daughter Gianna's basketball team. The helicopter was headed to Gianna's basketball tournament when it crashed. What made the tragedy even more heart-wrenching was the presence of Gianna, a budding basketball star who many believed would carry on her father's legacy. Their close bond, often displayed courtside at NBA games as Kobe explained the intricacies of basketball to his attentive daughter, had become a touching image of sports paternity. Bryant's complicated legacy includes both unmatched basketball brilliance and personal controversy, particularly regarding a 2003 sexual assault case that was eventually settled. Yet his influence on basketball was undeniable. An entire generation of players grew up shouting Kobe when taking jump shots. His famous Mamba mentality, a relentless pursuit of excellence, became a cultural touchstone extending far beyond sports. The crash investigation revealed that the helicopter had encountered thick fog in the hills near Malibu. The pilot, trying to climb above the clouds, instead descended into the hillside. There were no survivors. Beyond his wife Vanessa and 3 surviving daughters, Bryant left behind millions of fans worldwide who had watched him grow from a 17-year-old rookie to a global sports icon. Have you ever wondered about the fragility of life, even for those who seem invincible on the court, field, or track? Does greatness make the loss even more profound when these legends leave us at their peak?